Hey guys, we are outside Suffolk University. We're doing our pod with Heena, who actually does her master's here. So let's go. Hi Heena.
Hey.
Okay, so welcome to SKS Media. As I said, we have Heena, who goes to school in Suffolk, as our special guest. So thanks for making it.
Thank you so much.
For everyone watching and
Uh-huh.
who might not know you, just give a quick background on who you are, and then we'll just kick it off.
All right. Hi, this is Heena Adhikari, and currently I'm doing an MBA with an MHA at Suffolk University. Previously, I did my bachelor's in biology, and right now I handle a business. I'm working at a hospital, and yeah, that's about it.
Wow. Okay, so when did you come to US?
So it's been 6 to 7 years. Yeah.
So 20,
2018,
2018,
19, probably.
2018, 19.
Mhm.
So सबभन्दा पहिला नेपालबाट सुरु गरौँ है.
Okay.
How was growing up in Nepal? Where'd you go to school? Stuff like that.
So middle school, since I don't know, ever since I can think about, I guess I went to Meriden International School, which is in Balatar, and right now they have few different locations, but that's where I went to. And then after that, I did my high school, Little Angels, Hatibun, yeah. So that was my education. Middle school, as always, every single classes, right? But then high school, I did biology again. Yeah.
So when was that time when you were like, I want to go to US?
So that's really funny because I never planned like,
Really?
oh, I want to go to US. Like I had no idea. I didn't want to, like I never thought about moving out of country for education. And then just my family happened to move here and I just moved with my dad, my mom.
So perfect timing was. So you finished 12.
Yeah.
And what did that process look like? Because a lot of times, let's say F1 ma garदाखेरि you're applying as a student visa and all that stuff, right? So what did it look like for you?
So there was I didn't apply as student. So I just came with my parents and they thought it was a perfect time because I was just out of high school and they were like, oh, okay, she can go to college there. So that's about it. That's how I came here. I had no clue about applying to schools, no clue about where I want to study or anything. Boston, I chose Boston because my aunt lives here. So yeah.
Were you excited or how did you feel?
Mixed feelings. I was like, I don't know. I was like, all right, I'm going to study there. But then I didn't want to leave Nepal because all my friends were there. And yeah, it just happened too quick to realize, I guess. Yeah.
So, boom, first place you came was Boston.
Boston.
First impressions on US, like any culture shocks. I bet you had culture shocks, right?
Culture shocks.
So what were like the biggest differences you saw in Nepal ma, US ma?
I don't know. I feel like that time, because I was like right out of high school and I had about 6 months of gap. So I just loved to hang out with my friends. I went to cafes. We were there like all day, stuff like that. So when I first came here, the first shock was the cafes aren't really like Nepal. You don't hang out. You just go there, like it's just grab and go. It's very quick. But in Nepal, you just stay like all day and it's fine, right? Yeah, that was the first shock, I'd say.
Wait, what do you mean by grab and go?
Because like there's a lot of,
they probably have no idea what it is.
Yeah, because there's a lot of takeout. Like in Nepal, you go to a cafe. It's not like the first thing they ask is like, oh, what do you want to have? You have everyone serving you. Here, it's more like you go in, you serve yourself. You just order and then you just grab and go. Like you take a cup, you go out. It's like, it's very fast paced.
Yeah. And besides the cafes, what else?
I don't know. Let me think about it.
I had so many things that were different. Yeah, lifestyle, food, just people, culture.
I'd say people as well. In Nepal, people are friendly. Boston people, they don't seem quite friendly, right? I don't know. That was my experience at least. Like when you go out in a park, like you're just walking and you say hi, but they're like, I don't know you.
I'm laughing because I'm like, yeah.
Right? Yeah. But I think it's just Boston though, because I don't think New York people are like that. They'll talk to you, but Boston, they're more, I don't know, reserved kind of. Yeah, yeah.
So what about food?
Food, I don't think I had that much of a shock. One shock was like, I feel like Nepal has better food, better authentic. Like if you go have Chinese, they have authentic Chinese food. Here it's Americanized. So
really? So that
was my shock. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Okay, so those are all the shocks, right? So Timi, boom, ayo, Boston ayo. So let's hear the story from there.
So Boston ayo, and then
because at this point you haven't planned school down or any of that, right? So the story from there.
So I hadn't planned anything, and the first thing was, all right, I got to continue my education, right? So high school did biology, so my head was like, oh, I got to do science, anything science. And then I started talking to people, like all the people that I know, friends, family, everyone, and then Nepali people. And then everyone that I talked to kind of at that time told me it's really hard to apply to university because you're straight out in Nepal. And I never planned applying to a university. So they were like, why don't you start in a community college? And I was like, all right, I don't think I want to do that because back home I had good education. And at that time, my mentality was like, why would I go to a community college? I'd rather go back home and continue my education. But looking back at it, I feel like that was a good, not good, but it was like strategic because people start community college and then they transfer to a university and then they continue their education, right? So I was like, no, I'm not doing community college. So the only university that I applied to was UMass Boston. And yeah, that too, I went on tours for like every single university. And then I went to just Northeastern, Boston University, UMass. I think I went to MIT as well. Yeah. So I just toured places, and then I went to UMass. I met a person from administration, and she was godsend. She helped me do everything. She prepared my application. I didn't have to write an essay.
What?
I know. I know. She helped me through everything. And then 6 months in, I got into UMass, and I was like, all right, I started off as IT.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, oh, tech's booming, but my heart's still at
wait. So let's talk about this because you did biology the entire time.
Yeah.
And you were planning to go for biology.
I was, but then
when did that switch happen? How did that switch happen?
It's just the job market at that time. Everyone was like, oh, tech's booming, right? So everyone was like tech, and I was like, give it a try. Why not? So I started as IT. I did good on all my courses, but then I was like, I don't feel it, like not in my heart. So yeah, I changed my major into biology.
This is in UMass, right? So
UMass, yeah.
So before we even talk about school life and academics, the transition period, actually, let's even take a step back. Let's take a step back. Right? So expectations versus reality, because a lot of people that I spoke to, everyone has this thing कि more US US is going to be like this, that, and that. A lot of things I heard is like tall buildings, clean roads, and all that. Good, bad, anything, like expectations.
Yeah.
So like, what were your expectations? But then when you came, what was like, oh wait, I didn't expect this, or I thought it was going to be like this.
I feel like I had no expectations to begin with, but then when you talk about like big buildings and good roads, because in Nepal we don't have like all that. So I feel like I had an image of that because I used to travel with my family a lot, and we used to go to China, Thailand, everywhere. So I was like, okay, it's gonna look the same, maybe. So the first thing I would say, I don't know, I don't want to be negative, but the first thing that I was like thinking was like, ew, it's dirty. Like straight out of airport. Yeah, because China is so clean. Like when you like out of the airport, it's so clean. And here, I was like, all right, the roads are kind of dirty, but it was summer, maybe. I don't know. Maybe the vibe was different.
Probably everyone was out and
just throwing,
Okay, what about application process? You know how you said she helped you out with everything? What did that look like for you?
So it was straightforward. I didn't apply through a common app, which is like the general application process is you have to do a common app where you apply to different universities altogether. And I didn't have to do that. I don't think I had enough time for that. So I just talked to her and I told my story. I was like, oh, I came from Nepal and this is that. And I want to apply to a university, which seems very difficult because I didn't have a plan to do that. And she was like, all right, why don't you send me your application? Like, send me all the documents that you have, your, like, the high school certificates, stuff like that. And then I think the SAT scores, and that was it. And then I didn't have to.
When did you do your SATs?
I did my SATs here. Like, after that, she was like, oh, you got to take your SATs. So I was like, all right, I'm going to take my SATs. I did it in like a few weeks. I got a spot, and then I did my SATs. And I sent that in. That was like, even after the whole application was completed, I sent my SATs at the end. And yeah, I didn't have to do an essay. She didn't like, she was like, all right, I'm going to waive the essay. So she waived the essay. Yeah.
So for someone who wants to go that route, I wish I went that route, but if someone wants to, like, is that?
No, I think I got lucky.
Yeah.
Because I met, so you got to meet someone, right place, right time, right? That's what happened. But I don't think that's a good strategy to begin with, because I got lucky. But no, I think if you're thinking about moving to US, maybe think about the schools you want to apply to, what kind of requirements they have, the application process, like how long it's going to take. And it's not like Nepal. It takes months for application process, right? So yeah, I think talk to people here, talk to high school seniors here, because they've been going through that process. They know better, right? So yeah.
Okay, let's talk about school life, Abba. So now you're in UMass. What were the first few days like?
I don't know.
Because those are the most exciting days.
I didn't find it exciting, because for me, I was like, all right, I gotta study, because I was like, back home, I was with friends, and it was like all that, and then I was like, all right, now I gotta focus in my life, you know? So first few months, even like few semesters, I was just, school was the priority. So I took classes, I went to office hours, I went to my advisor a lot, and then just to figure out things, they helped me a lot with all that. And then I think 2 semesters in, I got a letter, not a letter, invitation from Honors College. And then I was like, all right, let me do that. So
what's Honors College?
So it's a different college within UMass. So UMass has College of Science, College of Arts, and stuff like that. So Honors College is different school, but they just pick out students from every school that has good GPA, or maybe like they pick out students and they send an invitation and you get that. And then you can decide if you want to go. But if you want to start off with being in Honors College, you have to send another application.
Really?
Yeah.
Which is?
I don't know. There's an honors application, which one of my friend that I talked to was like, he applied to be in Honors College, which I didn't have to. So yeah, there's a different.
So what's the difference when it's just a normal route compared to going to the Honors College route?
I think the major difference for me was, instead of taking all the electives that I have to take, like we all have to take electives for the normal 120 credit, right? So Honors College, they substituted with honors classes. And yeah, so honors classes are basically one up, kind of. But I felt like it was easier, because it was more of not reading the theories and trying to give an exam, but more of a communication, like critical thinking. They teach you how to think. They teach you how to analyze research, and then you analyze them, and then you're like, all right, so there is a research. When you read it, you're like, all right, this is right. But they teach you how to tell if it's wrong or right. They teach you how to break it down, stuff like that. Yeah, I think the critical thinking part is different from honors.
Let's talk about classes. I think you obviously, you know how you said it's more critical thinking. It's not just doing theories and stuff. In Nepal, when we were in high school, it's a lot of theory. I remember when I was like in 10, 11, and 12, all I did was, okay, boom, 3 mahina baki cha, padhnu paryo, and then you give the exam, right? So when you started your school there, what were the biggest differences you saw schooling system?
So I think that was the difference, Nepal Reta. But then also, because I was biology pre-med track, So all of my classes were basically theory, like anatomy. You got to learn like every single system of your body, which is like you got to learn what it is. You can't make that up, right? So you learn it, and then the exams are different because in Nepal it's just like they give you a question bank and that's what you memorize and that's what's in the exam, right? But here it's like you understand it, like you understand like we were learning about the cardiovascular system. So you understand how the cardiovascular system works, how your heart works, how the blood flows, everything like that. And the exam's not going to be like, oh, how many beats does the heart have? Like how many beats per minute? It's not like that. It's like, all right, you understand the system. So in your, like, how would you explain the system? Like the blood flow, like how would you explain? So if you have an edema, if you have something in your leg, how would you explain the blood flow to your heart? Like how does it affect something like that, you know? And the honors college was completely different. We didn't have exams at all. So it was just papers, writing, like almost each class might have like 3 to 4 papers. And then that's like independent research kind of paper. So you do your own research, you come up with the theses, and you try to prove your theses. So it's not like a scientific paper, but it's like generally theses. And yeah, I think that was different. And the class size was small. Like normal class size for pre-meds are like 100 to 200 people.
Wow, yeah, that's huge.
But honors, there was like 10 people. And then round table. So it was like a table talk. It's more of, so that was different.
Which one did you like better?
I think I like both. I love the rigor of the education system. I think that should also be there.
Nepal,
because even Nepal, even Japan, I feel like you should have a rigor, because if not, if you just free think, like free will, you will just be doing whatever, right? Right? You should have some sort of system like in between. In Nepal, it's just strict. Yeah, it's like there is Aligata free, but then depends on your major, might be more free, might be more like strict, but I feel like it should be the middle, like in between.
So those are about your time somewhere. You did IT, you switched to biology. For a lot of people, incoming students go like, they're like, wait, what? So tell us about the transition to IT, transition to biology. What were you thinking? Your thought process behind all of that? Was it worth it? Was it not?
I feel like starting IT was very easy, because that was just the application, like the school that you applied to, the major that you applied to. So it was a easy, like from biology. They didn't care if you did bio, if you did whatever in high school, because here high school is different, right? And I just applied and I was like, all right, you're accepted. But then from there, transitioning to bio it wasn't like master's. Transferring in undergrad is very easy, because you just like, oh, I want to change my major. And they're going to be like, all right, you got to go through this process of approval. And then you got to meet these people, and then they just approve it, and then you're good to go. So I don't think it was a big of a change for me. IT was just a experiment, kind of. I was like, all right, let me try it out. Because in school, I did robotics for a year. Yeah. Yes. Nepal, yeah.
I didn't even know they had robotics.
So middle school, I went to Meridian for middle school, right? So middle school, they used to like focus on extracurriculars a lot. So if a student is interested in something, they used to be like, all right, we'll have something for you. And then they did this robotics. What was it? I don't know what it's called, but they kind of got involved with a third organization, third party. And then they brought them in, and then they selected a few students, and then they taught robotics, like coding, and then hardware. Like I built I built this. I mean, it wasn't a robot, but we built like a digital board, maybe, right? And then we built what did I build? It was a sensor that you could put in your water tank, and it will tell you like when it's full. Those kind of things. It was like tiny things, but just
oh my God,
the beginning of it.
I'm worried.
Why?
What if you go back to IT again after this interview?
No, not my path.
So to IT barat चाहिँ, when you transitioned to bio, about how did you get there again?
Bio was
Yeah.
again easy because I did bio in high school, right? So I knew like also the first thing was like I went to the library.
Yeah.
Honestly, I went to the library. I looked at the books. I was like, can I do this? So I went through like the chemistry book, physics book. I loved physics. So I went through all the books and I was like, all right, this is doable. It's like, because in Nepal, we focus a lot on theories. So in Nepal, we had already read a lot of those things.
Right.
But not in a deeper level. Like everything's like a surface level education. So they teach you everything, but they don't teach you the deeper level, like how that happens, you know? And then here it's like a 4 years of learning the same thing in the surface level, but then every single class goes deeper into like, all right, so this is the system, this is the process and how things happen.
Wow. Well, that was more academic side, ma. What about social life?
Social life.
How is it different? Like, continue about how is college in America in terms of social life? Not partying and all that, but more just in general, in any day in a life. How is that different to?
I think it depends on the college that you go to, because I went to a commuter school and everyone just were there for classes and they just left. Like a lot of people were just like there and then they had a full-time job. Few people like they had different responsibilities outside of school. So they were full-time students, but I don't think a lot of them stayed in school. Like the first 2 semesters, 2 to 3 semesters, I didn't even stay at school. I just went in, took my classes, came back home.
Really? So, okay, follow-up question there. If you were commuting, right, especially coming from Nepal and everything being so new, how did you adapt to making new friends, meeting more other Nepali people? I don't know, but you know, like stuff like that.
Right. So no Nepali people. I didn't even know there were Nepali people in UMass. I mean, I knew few of them, but I feel like there were seniors that I knew. And I was just like school. I was like, all right, that's fine. I had my time. I had fun in Nepal.
Wow.
I'm going to go to school, finish school, just got to study. So the first few years I did that. And then after
the first few years, you didn't meet any Nepali people?
No, not at all.
Heena.
I know.
Okay, Ani.
And then after COVID, and then we came back to school, that's when I started meeting Nepali people, a lot of them, because we were a part of a club.
Right.
NSA, Nepali Student Association,
wow.
UMass Boston. Yeah, so we had that club. We met a lot of Nepali people. We hosted a lot of events. So through that, we met people. And then, because you start off as a general, very general, right? And then once you like each year, the amount of students that go into a specific major kind of narrows down. So you have like friends in that circle. So a lot of my friends were pre-meds doing what I was doing, taking the classes that I was taking. I also did research for 2 years. I met people in my research lab who I became friends with. I had people that were also involved in research. So we were like doing poster presentations. We were presenting our research, doing all that. So I met a lot of people through that. And those were my friends primarily. And then from Nepali people, like from the club, like those were the friends that I went out like more with. Yeah.
What about making non-Nepali friends in the beginning? Because I think not everyone has a problem with it. Personally, I didn't have it because I think I'm extroverted. But just talking to a lot of my friends, it seems like some definitely did. So what was the personal experience like for you?
I don't think I had a problem making friends. I didn't really. I'm a very, I don't know, I'm extrovert but very introverted, right? I don't like to like begin a conversation. That's my problem. I don't like to begin a conversation. So making friends was like, all right, in class, I was good with school. So every time we did any project, I was like, all right, I would take a lead. I'd be like, all right, let's do this, let's do that. Would do a project and that was it. It was like, all right, the project's done, the class is done, so we're good. Kind of like that.
And then you're like, okay, bye. Never see you.
Right. The other culture shock
okay, let's
is, all right, that's the one. All right, and back home, we used to be like, sir, oh my God, ma'am, gone for And it's like, you just call them by their name. Like you call them Rick, you just call them Megan, right? So that was another shock.
That is.
It was a hard thing to do, I think.
I don't know if a lot of Nepali people do this. If they meet other older Nepali people, some might just call them by their name, but it feels so weird
It
to me
feels
to
weird,
say that. So
yeah.
I still say whoever जो Nepali भेट्यो, I was like, even हाम्रो last event man, it was like Samir Koirala was the keynote. I was like, Samir Dai. I just could not.
Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean?
know.
But
That's like, yeah. Because back home we're so used to that, but
yeah.
then kids that grew up here, they're like used to it. I feel like us coming, like having like been brought up in Nepal, it's hard.
Another question. Let's talk about identity crisis. So I spoke with this person and he actually brought this up. It was like he grew up in Nepal for 15, 16 years, then grew up or spent the rest of his time in America, which was like 20 years.
Wow.
And what he said was, I don't feel American, but I don't feel Nepali. Right? But it makes sense because he's spent like
A lot of years, yeah.
But for you, you've spent around 6 to 8 years, 6 to 7 years on most of your time in Nepal. But do you still feel it, or what's the whole thing like?
I don't think I personally feel it because, like in my core, I'm still Nepali, right? If I had like been brought up here, gone to high school here, I would have that because high school student, it's like, I think it's the age as well, because that age you're a teenager, you're like, all right, everyone around me is different, so why am I not looking like them? I gotta look like them. There's that crisis of like, all right, it's the mentality. But once you're grown up, like I was 19 when I came here, and I was like already gone through that phase, so I was like, all right, people are different, you gotta accept it, right? I'm different, but I might have something better than them. They're different, they might have something better than me, right? Yeah. So I don't think I had a crisis till now. I do not.
Do you think it's a thing though?
I think it is a thing, yeah. With younger kids, especially, I think that's a thing. With like kids are like 10 years old, they come here and then with their parents, and then they're just sent to the school, and then they see everyone around them like acting different, talking different, eating different, they smell different. That's a huge thing, right? And they're like conscious of everything that's around them. They stop talking to people, they stop talking to their parents. A lot of them stop talking to their parents because they feel like they're not being heard, because like here it's just the culture, how like people here treat their kids, and how people in Nepal treat their kids. So I don't know, I feel like, yeah, a lot of them have that identity crisis or something.
Like, have you seen anyone go through it personally? I don't know, I'm just out of curiosity.
I don't, yeah, I think I've heard a couple of people that have that kind of, I don't, not exactly the same thing, but like around, this they already, you know, like when you talk to them, you're like, all right, so, all right, there is a difference, like with your family, with your parents, like, oh yeah, Nepali parents, Asian parents are strict. No? Example, like they're like, all right, you gotta, I don't know, they have a curfew, you gotta be home this time. But here, I mean, they do have that, but they're more understanding. They're like, all right, where are you coming from? But us, it's like, not every single parent is like that. I mean, I'm not saying my parents aren't like that, but not everyone's like that, okay? Yeah.
Mom, if you're watching, don't watch it. Okay, so let's talk about college. So you majored and minored in, or like
major in biology, and then honors was just I'd say a different degree. I just got two degrees, honors and biology.
So you're done with your undergrads. So undergrads, what happened?
So undergrad pachi, I did research. I kind of, I don't know, I experienced everything that I wanted to. So I did research. I worked.
Wait, like what do you mean?
With like school and stuff like that, with like my career, where I want to go, like the field that I want to take, like the path, right? So I did healthcare, I worked at a hospital, I worked at a research lab, I did biology, I did IT, like I said. And with all that, I knew I wanted to be in healthcare. So.
And you worked while you were in school, or was this after school?
I feel like in school, summer. And then once I was done with school, because I was a full-time student, so being a full-time student and having a job, I don't know.
It's hard.
It's hard. People manage it, but it's really hard. So during the school year, I think I did, because my work was very, like, they were very okay with people, like students not being there during the school year and just doing summer. Undergrads, undergrads. And they were like, all right, so you have school, you don't have to be here, just 16 hours a month, or like, just let me know, right? And then summer was like, they didn't make you work, but you could be like, oh, it's summer break, like, can I work more? And they'd be like, all right, that's fine. So so I guess that's what happened. And I knew I wanted to do healthcare, but I feel like I'm also interested in public sector. So public health, I thought I was more into public. So the government, because I was like into politics and governments and stuff like that, even with healthcare. Because all my life I've been doing healthcare. Right. All right. So I was like, maybe I need to change things up. So I was like, let me do public health or public admin. So I applied to my master's. I think I took a year.
Go ahead.
I took a year for myself. I tried to study for different exams and like stuff like that. I was preparing for medical school. I was studying for MCAT, but I didn't. Which is Medical College Administration Examination, I think, something like that. But it's an exam. It's like SATs.
Medical student exam.
Yeah, it's like SATs, but for medical school.
Right.
So and then. So I was just doing that, and I was like, all right, I need to do something else. I didn't want to go into research because I'd been doing research for 2 years, and I was like, I don't see myself doing that long term. I'd love the idea of creating science. It's basically not just learning science, but it was like learning from past experience, past history, research, literature, and then taking it and analyzing it and creating new data, right?
Wow.
So I did that. I was like, all right, that's cool. I loved it while I was doing it.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for 2 years, and I did love it, but I was like, I don't think I see myself like in a research lab doing desk work at least, right? I did love the idea of creating science, but yeah.
So this was like a full-time role, or
during undergrad? So I did 20. Starting
internship
off,
on them, right?
it's like an internship, but it's like working at a research lab while you're in undergrad, while in school, and they don't.
So, okay, question. How do you, if someone else was to try to do the same thing and get the role, how do you go about it?
I think it depends on the school. So UMass is, even though it's public, we have a lot of research lab that's funded by the government. So it's like you pick where you want to go. If you want to do biomedical sciences, if you want to do like an engineering research, if you want to do whatever you want, you pick the lab, and then you talk to your advisor, and then you talk to whoever the PI is of that lab, and then they set up an interview. So it's like a job. It's like a job application, pretty much.
And would you recommend it to people? Or?
I mean, if you're interested in going into anything research, like a lot of people here want to go into bioengineering, the biotech. A lot of people love biotech because Boston is a biotech hub, right? So I think I would recommend it, but pick and choose what you want to do. Like if you want to do wet lab, if you want to do physics, if you wanted to. So I did biomechanics, which is biology and mechanics together. So I was the bio part of the lab, and then we had PhD students doing the mechanics part of the lab. So I helped the PhD students with the biology stuff. So just pick what you want to do. If you want to go into biomedicine, pick a lab that would help you learn the skills to further go get a job in those like areas. Yeah.
So master's Kukuram.
All right.
When did that happen?
I think
so you took a year off.
I did. I took a year off, and then master's was a decision. I was like, all right, I gotta further, like I gotta get my degree, like one more, I guess. I don't know. I was like, I need more education in my life. So that was the decision. And I was like, all right, let me do a master's. And I was like, all right, let me do public administration. And public administration, I started off as public administration major, like program.
So before we even talk about the whole master's life, let's talk about the process.
Applying. All right, application. I think Suffolk was pretty, I wouldn't say easy if you're from Nepal.
Yeah, process funny. Let's talk about how you chose your school, what the process looked like, and how long it took.
Right, it's so funny. So the process, I think it's different if you live here and if you're from Nepal.
Yeah.
From Nepal, it's like you gotta look at the finance, you gotta look at the location, you gotta look at everything, like the programs. It's everything's new. Like you gotta look at what you have, like the requirements that they need you to have, right? Like okay, अब public administration में जाने हो भने, like नेपालमा public administration मा के गरेको छ, you have to look at that. So I was like, all right, for me, it was different because I did my undergrad here. And from undergrad to master's, you don't have to be in the same field. Like if I'm a bio, it's not like I have to do a master's in biomedical sciences. It's like you can jump from one place to the other. Basically like undergrad. So you send in your scores, your GPA, you write an essay, you send the application. I don't think for MPA we had to do a video essay. That's another story. But that was the application process, and Suffolk was very good with accepting students on time.
What about your video essay? Like, what is that?
So that's a different story. So I started off as MPA, but then right now I'm doing an MHA with an MBA. So that was my transition from an MPA degree. Story behind it, MPA, I did it because public sector, public government, right, policy. So that was my like, all right, let me figure things out. Maybe I want to do policy because I was interested in public health, but I was like, maybe it's just general public. And then let me do a concentration in healthcare. Starting off as public administration, concentration in healthcare. I did take few public administration classes. I took one healthcare class, which was healthcare HR management. And throughout the semester, I was like, all right, this is what I really want to do. So I was like, all right, healthcare is where I want to be at. Even if it's a public sector, even if it's a public health, I still want to be in healthcare. And MPA didn't provide me with enough healthcare. So I was like, I did talk to my advisor. I talked to professors from each department. I talked to a professor from MBA. I talked to a professor from MPA. I talked to a professor from MHA. So with talking to everyone, like them referring me to someone else, like I had like a whole week of conversation with all these people. And they were really good with all that figuring things out part, because they were like, all right, we understand you, where you're coming from, let's figure this out together. They weren't like, all right, you're confused, like get out. They were like, I know. So we tried to figure things out together, and I was like, all right, I also like business. I like public health. I like healthcare. I was like all over the place. I like so many things. Like, where do I stop? And they were like, why don't we do an MBA with an MHA? So they were recommending that path, because they were like, all right, I see where you're coming from. I see you like public health, but then there's also like, you got to learn the basics of healthcare administration. But then also I was like, I told you I was running a business for my dad, which is that part was like, okay, let me do business administration as well. Business administration always helps.
So you point, sorry to cut you off there. Your point, had you already started your master's, or was this before and then you had all these?
No, I had started my master's.
You started
I did
MPA.
Yeah.
Only how long in did you start having these conversations?
I feel like a few months in, like a month in, I was like, all right, I feel like the healthcare class that I was taking was more, I mean, I wouldn't say interesting. I would like, both of them were kind of my, like, I did want to do government as well, government public administration policy as well, right? But then the classes that I took in healthcare was more relatable, because I had always been in healthcare. I worked at a healthcare organization, and I was like, all right, that's more relatable. Like, and even in classes, I was like, I could, like, my input were more valuable in that.
For you.
Yeah, it was easier for me.
Like, what I'm a little taken aback is, you went in for MPA.
Yeah.
And which might change your or
so master's math, you can't, like, undergrad math.
Because it's not like changing majors, right? It's like changing
no. So undergrad math transfer gareko jasto, it's not like you can transfer master's math. Master's math, तिमी एउटा मेजर भयो जस्तै म MPA भयो अनि MPA भएपछि चाहिँ I just have to be like, all right, I don't think I want to do this, so I'm going to withdraw from the program. So I did withdraw from MPA, and then I had to do an application again. That's where the video comes. So I sent another application for MBA, which they helped me with because I was already a student. So they were like, everything gets transferred, just the essay and one more thing was a video essay for business school. It's basically, I don't know if it's a new thing, but it's like an add up for like the application process. So I had to do a video essay for MBA, and because I'm doing a dual degree, I had to apply again for MHA. So I applied thrice. The first time I was like, no. The second time MBA, and the third time MHA was like, all right, because I need to do a dual degree, I had to apply to the both programs. And it's not like, oh, you can do a dual degree starting off. It's like you start with the degree, and then if you want to do like a dual, it's like applying to a different school altogether. So it's like one more application, completely new application. And if you get accepted, then it's like, all right, you got a dual degree in like both schools. Yeah.
Wow, it's a pretty lengthy process.
It is, right? Yeah, it's very lengthy, but I don't think people need like think about that and be like, all right, oh my God, it's so long, it's that. I mean,
you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do.
So MBA
right?
got you.
Yeah.
I mean, MBA is like finding the application sent, and now you're doing your MBA, right? MBA as well. So
MBA bada as in?
MBA as in you applied for it, you got it. So what's the rest of the MBA story? You're still doing it.
I did. My first semester was all MBA classes, which was amazing. I felt like a whole new world.
In what sense?
I mean, I've always been a science background kind of person, right? But in science, it's more of introverted. People are more introverted because they're like, all right, you got to study, you got to know this. If you know this, you don't have to socialize, right? It's science, basically. Like, yes, you need to do projects together, but it's not like, oh, your life depends on socializing. No. But in MBA, I feel like a lot of classes starts off as, all right, you got to do these many group projects, like team projects, and bet your ass, you gotta socialize. You gotta be out there. You gotta be like
you gotta be networking.
Right, you gotta be networking. That's like your main, I don't know, that's like your skills. You gotta network, you gotta lead the team. So I think that was a shock transitioning from a science background to an MBA. And even like in science background, whenever like someone asks like, all right, who wants to lead the team? Everyone was like, I don't want to lead the team.
Really?
I mean, most people. Yeah. I mean, there are type A people that like to like, they're applying to medical school. They're like, all right, go. I want to lead.
MBA, MPHA, MBA.
Yeah, but then MBA people are more of like, I don't know, they're very extroverts and they like to like speak up. Everyone's there like, all right, at least it's at Suffolk. I mean, I don't know everywhere else, but here I feel like everyone was very active and everyone was there to learn and like put their like thoughts into it, like lead the team. Right. Yeah. So, yeah.
You worked for 2 years. Professional, I guess let's talk about internships, just work in general. Like, what does that look like for you right now?
I feel like I personally haven't applied to a lot of jobs. I haven't even started doing that because for me it was like school was my focus. So I did my undergrad, took a year off. That was for studying. So I studied most of the time, and then I still had a job at the hospital. So that was already there. So I was like, I don't need to apply for a job, and like not now at least. So I'm like, all right, let me just stick to what I have. And if I want to go into research, I think it would have been easier given the background that I had, because I had 2 years of research already. So if I wanted to go into a lab that works with the same thing, or I did nanoparticles with bioengineering. So we made nanoparticles using biology and tried to put it in a system that's very mechanical. and then try to do that. So there are labs in Boston that does nanoparticles, that does nano like engineering vesicles and stuff like that. So if I wanted to apply to those labs, it would have been, I would have a stronger of an application because I had the experience. But it's not like you don't have the experience and you go apply. Like what they need to, you need to have something, right? Yeah.
Okay, so wow, so that you came here to stay 6-7 years, undergrads bio, you're doing your masters. So but your subway mate, what's been your best moment?
Best as in personally?
Yeah, personally. Your best from school, just anything. Just living in US. Your best moment in US. The most challenging.
All right. I think the best would be the education, the achievements, and I would say as a person, I've grown a lot. Back in Nepal, I was like just a kid, like regular kid, like, all right, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know what I'm thinking. I did have a thought. I did have a process. Like I was like, all right, this is me. I know what I want to do. But then I wasn't like very sure of, because it's like, in Nepal, we have a very social life. Everything's determined by the society that you're in. Like everyone has an opinion on what you do. Here, I feel like the difference that I've been through and I've experienced is, yes, there's still social life. Everyone's like, like like in your business, right? Everyone's like, all right, what you doing? What you doing? But the difference is with education, I think school doesn't only teach you knowledge, but it also teaches you how to think, and thinking in a sense like as an individual, like what you like, how do you see your future as an individual without the societal like thought, like all right, like this person saying this, without that, like you can identify.
That you see but don't judge.
Yeah, right. Something like that. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I think that was like a difference because I feel like I've grown a lot. Might be because I'm 25. Maybe my frontal lobe is developed. Maybe. All right. That's one thing. But I don't know. Maybe that's like a personal growth for me. Yeah.
That's so cool. What about the most challenging?
Challenging. I think the first 6 months that I was here applying to school was challenging because everyone was like, it's so hard. You can't do it. Like, from experience, from what they've known, like people talk from experience, right? People talk from what they know. They don't know everything. So be the person that's like, all right, even if that's known, even if this is what you know, maybe there's something different. Maybe there's something else. Maybe I can do something else. Like, I don't think you gotta put yourself in a box.
Right.
Like, think outside the box and try to do things that you think is right.
Damn, Heena's throwing some good advice.
Motivation.
Okay, so we're pretty much wrapping up the podcast in a bit. So last two questions. Right, one is, if you were, and this could be for someone who's coming from Nepal. This could be for someone who's doing their undergrads or is about to apply to go to masters. Like what's one piece of advice or one or two pieces of advice you'd give them?
I don't know. I feel like know yourself before you think about everyone else. Think about yourself first. I think therefore I am is my best line. I love that line, which is think about there's no limit. The limit is where you draw the line. It's not like everyone else setting the limit for you. So I think my advice would be, think what's right for you. Like, don't come off as, all right, you don't know, you don't have a background in anything, and then you're just going on. You're like, oh my God, I'm confident. Not like that. You need to be capable. Like, you need to have your own like sets of like checklists. Like, all right, I have this. So I think I can go there. I think I can do that. Like, there's no limit in that. So I think that would be an advice. The other advice is don't take life too seriously. I think that's another advice. Because, I don't know, from Nepal to here, transition is like, people are very, oh, it's a different system. Oh my God, it's going to be so different. It's hard. It's not like that. It's like, it's the same. Like in Nepal, it's the same. People are just people. You can make friends. You just have to speak up. You just have to talk. That's yeah. I think that's my
Good stuff.
advice.
I'm gonna flip the script here.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to go back in time and change one thing, what would you do?
Change one thing about
What would you
me.
change?
That's a tough
Ita
one.
sige
Ita sige
what's your sum if you were to go back and change something or do something differently?
Okay, this is very controversial or something. I don't think I'm going to change anything because through all this experiences, through whatever I've been through, I've learned a lot. And I think it was necessary for me to have the mental capacity that I have today. So I don't think I'll change anything.
This is how you know. This is how you know that she's into politics and MBA because she gave such a diplomatic answer.
Wrap up.
All right, that's pretty much it. So to really wrap it up, we're trying to do this for every single podcast. It's a rapid fire round.
Oh wow! All right.
Don't cheat. It's gonna be like 6-7 questions that you gotta like answer fast.
All right, I'll try.
Ready? First question. Best Nepali restaurant in Boston.
Zomsa.
Second question. One thing you miss the most about Nepal.
Friends.
Third, one food you love but can't find in the US or it's hard to find.
Pani puri. Chutpate. Street food. Yeah.
Next question. Favorite Nepali festival to celebrate in the US?
Here.
And why?
I would say Dasai Tihar.
That's
Again.
two.
Dasai. All right. Dasai. Not Tihar. Dasai. All right. Because I don't know. Like it's family getting together. You getting money. Maybe that's why. All right.
Okay. Next question. If your friends or family ever visited Boston, what's the first place you take them? Seaport.
Yeah.
Nice. Best Nepali song for homesick days.
Yung month मेरो Nepali ho.
Oh
Let's
wow! That's a good answer. First Nepali word or phrase you teach your non-Nepali friends.
Namaste.
Namaste baik.
Oh, okay, that's hard. Dhanyawad.
One thing about Boston life you wish every Nepali person knew after they came.
All right. So one thing they knew is like
one thing they need to know about Boston life.
Need to know. Yeah. It's very fast paced. It's not like Nepal. You can't chill. I mean, yes, you can chill, obviously, but you got to up your game. I think you got to be go, go, go. The mentality is, yes, you have a life. Yes, there's a work-life balance, but then also have to start prioritizing your professional life a lot. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a wrap. That was the end of the episode. So if you guys enjoyed this episode and want more guests to come and share their experiences and stories of their life in the US, please like,
share, and subscribe.
Comment down below.
Yeah.